Many times we're asked about our homeschooling curriculum, the different books and resources that we use to teach our children the various subjects that they're learning. And so today we're going to be talking about a segment of that while we discuss our language arts curriculum. Welcome back to another general homeschooling advice video, and today we're going to be having our first of many discussions about our homeschooling curriculum. And today we'll be speaking specifically about our language arts program. The first series that we're going to be talking about that we use with our children for their language arts is going to be First Language Lessons for the Well-Trained Mind by Jesse Wise. So this is a 4-part series which is going to cover grammar, punctuation, comprehension, memorization, and dictation. So for the first 2 levels, you really only need the teacher's text and something to write in or a composition book. Once you get up to the 3rd and 4th level, then you're going to want to get the teacher's text as well as the workbook for the student. Each level in this series has about 100 lessons for you to go through with your child, and each lesson is set up in conversation format, so it tells you exactly what you need to say and what is the likely response from your child. In the first level of the book, there is very little writing to be done, and it's mainly verbal exercises teaching your child to memorize the definitions of things like nouns, verbs, pronouns, etc. Even if your child isn't really good at memorizing things, it's not really a big problem because the book in it has so much repetition that eventually they will get it. As you move on to level 2, you're going to repeat a lot of what you already did in level 1, and there's going to be new concepts that are going to be introduced, such as the different types of sentences, as well as how to identify the different parts of speech and the grammatical structure of the sentence. As you continue to move up in the levels, you can expect that there's going to be a lot more writing for your child to do. Once you move on to level 3, again, as we said before, you're going to want to get the workbook for your child to write in as they're going through all of the lessons. Once you get to level 3, there's going to be a lot more writing. There will be a review of what you did before, but the main thing that they're going to introduce is diagramming, where you're going to be breaking down the sentence structure and identifying the different parts of the sentence. Currently, our oldest son, who is 8 years old, is finishing level 3, while our younger son, who is 6, is just starting level 3. So we haven't got yet to level 4, but we plan on using it once we're finished. The next series that we're using in our language arts curriculum is called Writing with Ease, and this is by Susan Wise Bauer. Now, this series of books is teaching your child how to write. Not necessarily how to pick up a pencil and write their name, for example, but how to write sentences and eventually leading into paragraphs. Again, this series is comprised of 4 different levels, and each level has its own separate book. And inside of each book has the teacher's guide as well as the student's workbook. So the teacher's book is basically going to explain to you what you have to do, and the student's workbook is going to have all of the narration exercises with a lot of pages filled with lines for them to write out all of the exercises that they need to. Each of the 4 levels has 36 weeks worth of lessons, and each week has 4 days of lessons inside of it. For each week, there's going to be an excerpt from a book, for example, Alice in Wonderland, where there's going to be a long passage that in the beginning you might read to your child, and eventually they'll be able to read on their own, and all of the lessons that they're going to be requested to do are going to be based off of that reading excerpt. The exercises that you're going to find in these books are going to be comprised of comprehension exercises, summarization exercises, there's going to be dictation as well as some copy work. Now, the copy work exercises in the beginning are going to look like just giving your child certain passages to look at, and they're going to write down exactly what they see. Whereas in the higher levels, you're going to actually read to them without them looking at it, and they're going to have to rewrite those sentences while using the proper punctuation. The next series that we're going to be using for our language arts curriculum is called All About Spelling. All About Spelling has 7 levels to it, and each level is comprised of different steps. And in each step, you're going to be teaching your child different rules of spelling. And those rules are going to be applied to words, and they're going to have a word list that they're going to have to go through each week. And eventually, they're going to be requested to not only spell those words, but to write those words out in sentences. As you go through each level, you can expect that it will get harder as you go along, and pretty much the same format will be followed throughout. Along with each level of All About Spelling, you're going to get some additional resources, and one of those is going to come in the form of these different cards. So for example, the red card that you'll get is going to be for dictation practice, where you're going to say a certain sound, and the child is going to write out the letter that makes that sound. The yellow cards, these are used for teaching the phonetics that each letter will potentially make. The blue card is going to be giving you different grammatical rules, such as the CK is used only after, fill in the blank, a short vowel. And the green cards, these are going to be cards that have the words that the child is going to have to memorize inside of the lessons how to spell. The next additional resource that comes along with All About Spelling are these magnetic tiles. Now these are a little bit more hands-on that you can use with, for example, a whiteboard as you go about trying to help teach your child the different rules and how to spell different words. The next resource that we use in our language arts curriculum is Teaching Cursive, This Method Works. Now this book is going to have 56 lessons in it that's going to slowly work up teaching letter by letter until your child is able to write words in cursive. While you're going through this cursive curriculum, you're going to need to have a composition book. And this composition book, it's really important that the composition book has the red baseline with the dotted middle line as well as the top blue line. It's important to have that exact composition book because it corresponds exactly with the way in which the book teaches you and explaining where the different strokes of each letter are going to go corresponding to those different lines. Now the Teaching Cursive book is basically going to be a teacher's manual, and you are going to read through it and explain to your child how to write those letters in their composition book. And each lesson is going to teach you a new letter, and it is going to also teach you to write words that contain that letter as well as all of the letters that you've learned in the previous lessons. As you go through the book, again, it's going to go through a letter a day, and it's first going to go through all of the lowercase letters and then eventually working up to all of the uppercase letters. At the end of all of those lessons, in the end of the book, there's going to be additional sentences that you can practice with your child by having them write them out. The last thing in our language arts curriculum is teaching the use of a dictionary. And what we did is a few years back, we purchased Macmillan First Dictionary, which is a picture dictionary for kids. And so it has a lot of different words in it that are very common, along with pictures alongside of them. And so we bought this, and our children would oftentimes kind of flick through it, and as their reading levels progressed, they would be reading and understanding what was in it and slowly discovered that it was put in alphabetical order. And so then what would happen is they would look to it to find words that they didn't understand in the books that they were reading. But as that slowly progressed, they found that some of the words that they were looking for weren't necessarily inside of the book. This worked out beautifully because the next natural transition is into a regular big English dictionary. And so now the kids, whenever they are looking for a word that they find in any of the books that they're reading, because now they're reading on their own, if they want to find out what it means, they can go in and look at Oxford Dictionary and find out the meaning of those words. This process has been very liberating for our oldest son because there's many times where he feels like he can't continue reading because he has to wait until we have enough time to explain to him what a word means, or sometimes we might not know what the word meant, so we had to look it up ourselves. But now that he has access to a dictionary, this has really put him on a path to be able to really read on his own. Using a dictionary is very beneficial for the child because it's going to increase their vocabulary, it's going to teach them how to spell the words, and it's going to teach them the pronunciation of each word, as well as teaching them what is the grammatical rule for the word that they're looking up. So in summary, these are all of the books that we're going to be using for our language arts curriculum, which is going to encompass everything from spelling, cursive, comprehension, summarizing, as well as grammar, punctuation, and the use of a dictionary. Thanks for stopping by and checking out another one of our general homeschooling advice videos. And in this video specifically, it was the first of what will be many discussions about our homeschooling curriculum that we specifically are using with our children in the various subjects that they're learning. If this is your first time, we'd love to have you subscribe. Again, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you have any comments, questions, or requests, you can definitely leave those in the comments section below. Again, we're here every Monday with general homeschooling advice and every Friday with question and answer. So if you have any questions that you'd like for us to answer, also please put them down in the comment section below, and we'll see you next time.